think we are live. I just got logged into the moderator screen here. Oh no. All right, so what are we're
Are you ready?
yeah, you're ready.
Oh.
It is Owl Day.
Yeah. Let's see if I can get the, where's the camera? Right here?
Yeah.
So we're going to do, can you see that?
Yep.
So outside the Mitchell Park Library here at the Palo Alto City Library, we have some chrome owls. And they're actually kind of like chairs for kids. Some old people sometimes sit on them too. And so we're going to design them. So I took a couple photos of the. We're gonna build these in Dreams on PlayStation, and then we're gonna try to actually make these movable so that we can put them into animations in the future as kind of like a mascot, because they are kind of a mascot for the library.
I think they have a name too. It's like
Oh, they do. Hootie or
yeah.
Hoo-Hoo?
I'll look it up. I think it was
All
like
right.
Whimsy and Wise or something. There's a placard somewhere down there with the artist name and stuff.
So I'm gonna pick kind of a bluish gray, maybe like that color, since they kind of exist in, and I'll just add that to my palette. They kind of exist in the sun with the blue sky reflecting on them. And I'm going to, actually not, I don't want to do those. I'm going to make them kind of shiny. So we got like shiny metal. We'll start with that and we can play with that, adjust that as needed. Okay, so, actually I think I needed to do it here. Try that again. There's our color. And we'll start off with the body. The body is a simple, actually let's do this, and the body has two sides, right? So we're gonna start with a sphere, and I'll make this fairly big. Ta-da! And then the body has wings, which I think I'm gonna do separately. But the body is not totally round, I don't think. It's pretty close, actually. But it does have this tail in the back. So if I go in the back, I have to think about how to do the tail. The tail is kind of it's also round. And it has, it's a tail, right? So it has this kind of, the top is kind of, oh, hold on a second. Get that off. So the top kind of has this flattened bit, and I'm going to soften that a tiny bit. And then just go in
and. So what does that do? The soften setting is
yeah, you see where it's connected? It's got, you can't see it that well here, but if I boost that, see, you start to That's actually probably close to what we want. So we want those two shapes to blend together. So, and then they kind of come together like that. Gonna be, it's to come out a bit. Yeah, so the soften really kind of makes you so you can start creating, because you just have these primitive shapes, the sphere, the cube, etc., the cone. But you can actually make just about anything you want by blending the two. So here I've got two spheres, one's cut in half, and I've got this more complex shape. And I think I'm gonna make that one a little,
Huh.
and I'll stamp it. And then what I can do is I can go in and I can just kind of place it exactly. Seems like it kind of does that. Let me look at the, it's too bad, you know, is there a way that they can see?
I posted a link to.
Oh, okay.
It's originally by Brad Oldham,
Okay.
and it is a mirror polished stainless steel and concrete.
So this tail is what people sit on. And I gotta go. So, but it does have, it kind of, right now it's sticking out too much, I think. Just getting that just right is the trick. So then, right, I think that's probably good enough. Now, I mean, one thing I was thinking about was like, you know, should I have another sphere below? And if you tap like that, you can kind of cut. And you'd use the soften to cut and make this shape a little bit more to your liking. So that might be good. And you can go in and you can adjust as you wish. I think that's starting to look pretty good. Might actually make that a little bigger. And might put a couple on this side just to kind of make that shape a little more like how it is. Okay, so that's the body. We've got a body. Now, that's one shape. Now what we need to do is we need to build the other parts. And since we're actually going to construct this as a puppet, but not using there is a puppet. Let me get out of this. There is a puppet here, which I could put in here, and then I could start building. I could kind of morph this into a shape like an owl, right? You can kind of go in and do this to kind of make it more owl-like. The owl's going to have really short legs, right? And the arms are going to be more like wings, so we'd probably just start maybe like that. You'd have to mess around with that. The owl's head is quite big, etc. And then what you would do is you would take this body and you'd plug it into this, you know, down here. We're not going to do that though, because that's an easy way to do it. But also, it's unnecessary because we're not going to actually have this thing running around. We're just going to animate it on our own. The puppets have their own kind of animation built into them and stuff. So anyways, so that's that. It does seem like I need to make a couple more changes here with the head. I mean, with the way the neck works, but I'm going to just go ahead and start a new sculpt. So we're going to do independent sculpts. We're going to want it to be this color, and we're going to want it to also have the same thing, the same shininess to it. And the head is, let me just look at the head a bit. The head is a little bit, it's about it's a sphere in a way, but it's a little bit smaller than, say, a little bit smaller than the body, and it kind of sits at about this spot right here. And actually, but it's not shaped like that, so I'm going to redo that. It's got a flat, the back of it is kind of, actually the front and the back are kind of a little flat. I'm going to add a little bit of, I'm going to soften that a tiny bit. It's a bit. So let me look at that again.
So Molly's in chat now asking, what are we making? It's the, you've seen it 1,000 times probably out front.
Can you put the actual image of the
Yeah,
owl?
I add it to the overlay in the top.
All right, I'm gonna just start building this sucker, and we'll see how it goes.
Well, we just had a couple people walk by with, like they were at the tennis courts.
I'll put this a little bit above the head while I build it out. Okay, so the front is going to be here. And again, I've got the mirroring on, so when I start adding, it has like these kind of cylinder-like eyes. And you know, owls have, they have really big big wide eyes like that. Now, do those actually touch in the front? Yeah, they do.
Hmm.
They're probably a little lower on the head. And you just keep building. So then you're gonna go in here. It's got this kind of dimple. And I can't tell if those are round. They're not. So they're just more cylinders inside of the eyes.
Hmm. I didn't realize until today that these are not the same owl. They're like, some of them have their feet sitting differently, or their
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They're a little different. Oh, I didn't realize
each one
that.
has a like.
I thought they were all the same.
Yeah.
Hey.
Hey. Oh, okay. For the.
Yeah, that's fine. So one thing that you're starting to see here when you get into these fine details, you know, see how it's kind of getting a little pixelated.
Yeah.
And actually for this guy, I'm gonna actually undo everything and redo it, because there's another thing you can do, which is you can make this really sharp. See how sharp that is?
Yep.
So you can make it really sharp. So that uses up more thermo when you do that. Thermo is the amount of computer memory that it's using on the PlayStation. But you know, for details like eyes, the mouth, just generally the face, you're gonna want, and you can see I'm getting a little soft blend there that I don't want. Those need to be a bit bigger. Okay. So that's important, you know, making sure that you have the right amount of detail. Okay. Now he's got a beak. Let's see, what's the beak shape like? The beak actually is, um, so question for future purposes, would we want the owl to speak?
Oh. Uh, hmm. I think it's probably okay to have. Is it possible to have the head sort of move around like
Yeah, the head will
react,
move
but then
around, the wings and the legs for sure.
yeah,
I'm thinking about we could make the lower jaw move as
yeah.
well, in case we wanted to, like, you know, sing a song or whatever. So I will get the top part. I'm just going to connect it to the head. So then what we'll do is we'll create another sculpt that'll just be this bit underneath, but we'll do that later. Okay, and then there's some, you know, some of the sculpts that I have that I've created, like it has like eyelids that go up and down.
Hmm.
It has fingers that are totally movable, like all
Mm-hmm.
10 fingers move. Um, the they'll have like, yeah, the mouth will open up and close, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
So you can kind of go to town. I mean, this, you know, I'll say about this owl is that this is very simple to build because the person who sculpted this was using the primitives, you know.
Hmm.
So they're all basic shapes. There's not really a lot of complex shapes in this. So it's kind of made for dreams. So, you know, and you know, sometimes I'll have the ears, like on some of my animals, the ears will move too. So you can do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we could do that. I'll do that. I'll make the ears separate too. Okay, so I'm zooming out, and then what I need to do now is actually need to go in and get this to be more like the owl. Like the head sort of sits low. And there's more, it looks like there's more. We have to add some kind of like feathers under his cheeks. So I will put the head like that. And then, you know, try to get this. One thing that is kind of missing in dreams, at least I don't know how to do it, is to be able to see where to line things up. So the mirror here is like you've got the two sides. So the mirror goes down this sphere here. And then on this object, because they're separate objects, this will have the median line goes through here. So getting it just right is
Mm-hmm.
kind of hard to tell, but, and then making sure that it's not crooked. There might be a way to do that. I just don't know how to do it. Okay, so now we have one more thing in here that we need to do, and it has this kind of, this possibly could be the most complicated part of this bird. And that's getting the feathers under its cheeks right. But just kind of go in here, and now this is where the soft blend will come in handy. So it kind of comes to the back. Also getting your arrow, there is your arrow. I need my arrow.
Hmm. That part's cool. Having it like blend that way and
Yeah.
sort of smooth out.
Yeah, it's like it takes a while. It's kind of an art to learning how to develop the shapes that you need to make things. But it comes together eventually. So it looks like this is going to take a little bit of time. It looks like this actually goes to the back. Um,
Hmm.
so it's going to be a little smaller. Yeah, just getting this just right. I think that's pretty good. Good enough for government work. Actually, there's a little, I'm going to do this, bring it down a bit. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I think that's pretty close. It does come out a little bit on the back end, so what I can do is I can go in and I can grab this, and I can try to pull that back a bit. Oh, I grabbed the wrong object. This is, no, still have the wrong one. So sometimes it's hard to see what you're working with, but if you just disappear a couple things.
Hmm.
Um, oh, you know what okay. So the shape isn't quite what I need. So what I'll do is I'll grab it and I'm gonna have to cut the shape down a bit. But it actually, hmm. That, so now I'm getting to the point where I'm like, is it worth fussing with? And you know what?
Yeah, some of that seam could be covered by the wings on the side. In a few of the versions of the
Yeah,
sculpture, it's like he's like his shoulders are up and it's bunched around his eyes, or it's
I feel like I might have to come back and
yeah.
do this after I've built out the rest of it. But you get the sense of what's going on there. So, okay, so now we've got that, and I think that's pretty much it. It does seem like the eyes need to be focused up a bit. Okay. All right, so let's make some wings. So we'll make we're outside there. Again, I'm gonna start. Hmm. I didn't really get a good shot of the wings. So it seems like they.
Hey, entropy tamed. We are sculpting. Actually, I don't know if you can see the link from earlier. It's in front of the library here. Oh, Skinnier Steve. Hello. Hello from the internet. No, so uh, entropy. In this case, I am the librarian learning dreams right now. Ryan has done this for. When did you get your PlayStation?
Oh,
2 years ago?
like around the time of just before the pandemic, I
Before
think.
this is yes, he's a seasoned veteran of the Dreamiverse, as they say. But I've only done the tutorials, so
So the wings have a very
yeah.
wings are actually going to be kind of weird to make. I'm just trying to think like what's the best approach. So they kind of, you can see I cut a little hole in there to give that,
Mhm.
to get that shape. And this one's going to be, actually, this is probably the most complicated part of the whole thing. Take that back. So you can adjust the hole size. So we'll do that. And then I'm going to stamp that. And then I'm going to actually take the same shape, but I'm going to soften it here and try to merge. Maybe it needs to be a bit bigger. Actually, it goes like this, doesn't it? I think this is getting close. It's not really close, but it's close enough.
So Entropy in chat said dreams and libraries somehow seem fitting. And I could not agree more. So you've got a whole library of different creations in the game, and it's like a library within the library here. We've got thousands.
So this shape here is this is a really handy one for when you're doing like negative cuts, because it has these kinds of rounded edges. So you don't, if I use just a square, let's say I wanted to flatten that, you run the risk of it having those sharp edges. See that sharp edge that it leaves? But if you use this, it's a little softer, and it just gives you a little bit more, you can kind of create more organic shapes. And yeah, I didn't really get a good shot of the wing. So I'm just gonna kind of wing it.
Mr. Casey Jones back in chat. This is here. I'll post the link again. It's we got some sculptures in front of our library.
Can you put the photo on there?
Yeah, there's okay. That was a setup for a joke, actually.
Oh.
Hoo hoo.
Oh.
Haha.
So then our wing has this kind of, it's going to be not round on the inside like that. So we'll just sort of cut that. So this is kind of what our wing looks like. It's, you could put this, you know, kind of bread it and kind of deep fry it. Probably be good. And I think we need to cut this part, round that a bit. And I will. I don't know. You know. It's probably needs more work. Let's see if I was to.
Yeah.
It does feel like it needs to be a little flatter. Like that.
I'm here for the books. That's what the Animation B could not agree more.
We are in our digital lab, and we will be having some books in here soon. We're working on getting a nice collection for people who want to do dreams. There'll be like reference books for like, you know, how to design a human body, or what do muscles look like, what does it look like for an animal to run, so people can come in and they can use the reference material.
Some of those, what was it, Edward Muybridge horse running side profiles.
Yep.
That sort of.
Yeah, exactly. I have one of those at my house. It's invaluable.
Yeah.
So I felt like the wing was not quite the right shape. And this is a challenge to do this part. So I think we're getting close. I'll just move. Oops. I kind of regret doing this. Inside the sphere, I had that kind of cutout part already. I should have done that with a negative sculpt, because now you're getting this kind of stuff going on. So, so you know what? I'm gonna just say that that is not working. And that's what happens. You experiment, and then you have to make a decision at some point. And, don't waste your time trying to fix what's broken if it's gone too far. It's just like if you're on the wheel doing ceramics. Sometimes you just gotta take a clay and remold it into the shape, the original primitive, and start over. So I'm gonna do this a little differently. Now that I've learned some lessons, I'm going to...
Okay, to answer a question in chat from Andy, I would say that does count as reading. So they're asking if closed captioning in YouTube. If you were in our summer reading program, which is just about to end, that would still count as a...
Yeah, we're pretty format, we're open to all formats. We accept them all. I personally don't read too much anymore. I read short form stuff like news articles and tweets and...
Yeah.
But mostly if I want to learn something, I go to YouTube, or there's some great dreams videos on YouTube.
Oh, speaking of graphic novels, we have a new, what's the name of that one?
Comics Plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you have a library card, actually, I'll find the link.
All right. I think this wing is starting to look much better than the previous one. It doesn't have that kind of weird stuff going on. And this actually does look a lot more like the actual wing. So this artist kept it very simple. I'd be curious to see how they actually did this. It's probably... I know nothing about sculpting with chrome metal. I guess chrome is just a finish, but... Yeah, okay. So now we go back to our, sorry, not that. We go back to our little tool, and we can kind of shape this to make it softer. There's kids playing around these owls. You've got to get rid of those sharp edges. It's the right thing to do. And we'll get rid of that on the top.
Yeah, I never noticed they have, like, ears. This has been fascinating, because we probably walk by these statues
I know, I never knew.
a couple thousand times. Part of the reflectiveness is, like, it just kind of, I don't know. Maybe it's the angle? Because the photos on the website are more like, they're eye level with the bird. So it kind of like, it's a little more obvious. Yeah.
So you see, I kind of play with the softness to get the right, and you have to get the size perfect. And so you see it kind of, if you want it to be, it's a little flat, like that. See, that's starting to get very close to the wing. I think just a little bit less than that. And then I'm going to hide the other stuff, and I'm going to go in here and I'm going to flatten out this side.
Okay, we've got a question in chat. Favorite owl? Barn, horned, snowy, tawny, barred.
Those barn owls are pretty creepy. I like those. They're pretty spooky. I've seen one before. They're huge. Absolutely huge. Terrifying. If you're like the size of a chihuahua.
Run.
No.
Barn owl from Labyrinth, yes.
The owl from Labyrinth. Hmm. Okay. So then the last piece is we have this kind of dimple. This is what I was trying to do originally with the other, cutting the piece out of the sphere. And it actually does, it's pretty.
Sorry, I'm laughing at chat again. There's a what was the name of that TV commercial? The Tootsie Pops one, yeah. But
What's
there
that?
was there's like a Saturday morning cartoons, 80s, 90s Tootsie Pop commercial where the owl is like,
Oh yeah,
how many licks does it take? And
yeah.
it's
To get to the center of a Tootsie Pop, yeah.
it's a philosophical question, of course.
Okay. I think that's good enough. All right, so now we got this, oops, zoom out. So now we've got this wing, right? Now what we want to do is we want to actually make an exact clone. And if we go back and we want to make any changes, we want it to reflect on the clone. So to do that, you go get this little clone tool and
Okay.
actually, I think we want to select this part. I think that's what, right? And then you see what I did? I kind of
Yeah.
flipped it.
Sorry, I was distracted by jokes in chat again. They're saying you're just winging it.
Oh, yes.
You don't have a reference, or you have a reference image. You're not just winging it. A plus pun today. Another library favorite. So it's funny. This is kind of what you're doing with the cloning.
Yeah.
In OBS, there's a similar thing where you can copy as a reference or you can copy as a duplicate to make a new sort of entity type thing.
So I'm just gonna enlarge the wings, and I've selected both so that when I enlarge one, the other one gets bigger too. So that I can, because that part does not, I don't know if there's a easy way to do that, but it doesn't seem like it it won't increase the size of both of them at the same time. So that's going to go like that. Should have got a top view of this. So you know what I was saying earlier about aligning things? This is the hard part. Getting this to line up exactly like the other one is going to be really hard. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, I don't want to touch that. There is a little trick here. So what I need to do is I need to move this head out of the way so that I can try to line these wings up perfectly. But I have the head is actually pretty well lined up, I think. So I don't want to like lose that, and otherwise I'd have to re-line it up. So if you go into the grid and just grab it and then pull it up. So now the head is kind of out of the way. But if I want to put it back, it's just a matter of dragging it down the grid. And that grid will stay,
interesting. Okay.
stay true. So see, now I can get in here. I'll turn the grid off. So what I would really like is if I could just see what that line is. But that is not a feature at this point in Dreams. So I'm just going to have to eye it. And you have to do it from different angles to see. See, it still looks a little off. This is out a little more.
We are just full of jokes in chat today. You're flying through this, Ryan. They like where it's headed.
Okay. I would say that this, my friends, is looking good enough. That looks pretty close. It's starting to look like a turkey, right?
Yeah. Or you get kind of like a Twitter logo thing going on with the swoop of the.
Okay, so I'm going to make a reference to an owl. Let's see if anyone in chat can like figure out
Oh, all
what
right,
owl I'm talking about.
all right.
And you have to know what his name is. And I don't know if I remember, but I'll know if I
Okay.
hear it. So this owl was made of metal, and he was made a very, very, very long time ago. And he was featured in a movie.
All right.
I will give more hints if you guys need it, but that's what I'm going to give you right now.
Well, we've already got one guess.
Okay, what's that?
I only needed metal aloe. Bubo.
Yay!
Yeah, first try.
Good one.
Yeah.
Okay, so the wings are looking too big. Now that I got the head back on there, I'm going to shrink those down. So this is just going to get, actually, you know what I'm going to do? What am I going to do? I'll put the grid on just to see if this works. I don't know if this is going to work. No, that's not going to work. I can't do that. I'm just going to shrink it down. Yeah, I'm really not digging these wings. They're kind of like supposed to do more like that. Like they kind of go almost to the front of the owl.
Yeah, and this sculpture, it's almost like they're wearing a wing jacket. Like, although I think we're looking at different references because there are some that are exactly like you have it, pointed backwards. There's a few that are kind of like, it looks like he's cold or something. And
Oh, so the wings
that
are
owl
different
is
on
like,
different birds?
yeah.
Oh, God.
It's not just the feet, it's the. Um,
Okay, so that's looking better. So now again, I'll go back to my clone tool and I will clone that sucker. And we'll just try to get that in there. Now see, I put the head back on. And
Andymation, is that from the same movie with the metal, with Bubo? Release the Kraken? Is that?
Bubo has actually appeared in 2 films.
Oh, okay.
He had a cameo in the new Clash of the Titans movie, but he was originally kind of an R2-D2 type spin-off in the 1980s Clash of the Titans, which I recently watched. Is actually not that bad.
Yeah.
And if you like what's the guy, Harriman or whatever, the special effects guy, he went to town in that. But yeah, it was actually not, even my wife, who, you know, she's not big into that kind of stuff, she even was entertained by it. Ladies and gentlemen, we are getting close to this owl being done. How much time do we got? Because I feel like I might have to do the rest of it later.
We're like 15 minutes.
15 minutes. Okay, so what I'm not gonna do the legs, and I will save the ears for later. But what I'm gonna do now, we'll see if I can do the ears. I'm gonna attach this stuff. So we have all these different tools here that we can attach things with. You've got, if you just want something to kind of turn, if you want something that can kind of move around like an arm that's kind of circular, you can do that. And the wings are probably best going to be like using this one. Do it a couple times. The head really should have a neck, even though you can't see the neck, because there's going to be one that needs to go up and down, and there's going to be one that goes side to side. But because we're just going to keep this simple, I'm going to do a side to side. So that's going to use the bolt. And that goes like that. Okay, so now if I grab this, look what happens. You just have to, now we have to go in and we have to move this around. Let me actually turn. To use this tool properly, you need to actually be able to see all the insides as you dip these things in. And you have to kind of figure out like, where does the wing attach? And that's where you want to put this. So it's probably near the top. Let's see, probably near the top.
Any bird experts here that know?
That looks good.
I can't imagine doing this without the move controllers now.
Oh my
'Cause
God.
you really need the.
No,
Yeah.
people, do not attempt this at home with the regular controllers. That you need the move controllers. This is the way to do it. The other thing that I've learned recently, because the last time we did this, we were doing VR. You see how it's kind of hard to tell, like, where is that in relation to this sort of 3D space? You know, if I go to this angle, it might look a little different. See, they're not really lined up. It actually needs to be more over here. And with the VR, it was actually pretty simple to see. But this way, you have to kind of keep messing around like this. So now, if we go in here and we just sort of like, okay, does it work? It works. Now now the head, see the head's all messed up. So what we need to do is move this, because right now the axis is right on the beak, but the axis needs to be in the middle. And again, you have to kind of come from different angles. And get that down. That's too far back.
This is true. This owl will be able to
There you go.
full 360 rotation, just like which probably wouldn't work the same with what was the first option we looked at with when you have like the character and you add the thing to it.
Yeah, the
will
thing
that
is the
stop it?
character already has all the rigging in it.
Oh,
And so we
But
would
can it
have
do
to
a
live
full?
with that rigging.
Can
You
it like
can-
rotate fully and be like
Yeah, I think you can turn the heads all the way around actually,
poltergeist style?
but I don't know, and that would definitely be part of
Yeah.
why you would want to just do this on your own. Now, one of the things you lose though is you lose the ability to. I mean, with the puppets, is that they come with pre-programmed walks and
Right.
all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So that's kind of good, but kind of not. So yeah, I mean, it seems like the head doesn't turn. I need to. What's going on here? I think this needs to be back further. Let's try that.
Mr. Casey Jones, I did not know that. Apparently, Brian, when owls have two arteries, so when their head is turning one way and it cuts off blood flow, the other one can also.
Huh.
That's we need a reference librarian to double check that fact.
Whoa.
But that was a library joke, by the way, for folks at home.
So you can see how this gets kind of tricky, right? So as I
Yeah.
turn this way, you see the lower part of the neck here sticks out. But when I turn him this way, that's not the case. And so I'm just trying to get this just to the right spot so that let's see if that fixes it better. No, that made it worse. So we go the other way. Okay, this looks better. Yep, I did it. Okay, good enough. So this part is done. And how much time do we got?
Oh, 9 minutes.
Okay, let me see if I'll just quickly do the beak and then we'll call it a day. And I'll have to come back and do the legs. So let's see, I'm gonna do for the bottom, I'll use this. Make sure we've got the right shininess to it. Oh, actually with this one, I'm not gonna do mirroring because it's really just a simple, it's very simple. Okay, so now we're going to just go ahead and do, again, the same thing. We just go and find our, how do I do this? Go get my tools. Now we're going to use, again, the bolt because it's just an up and down motion. You want to start with the parent object and go to the child. So that would be to this one. Now, if I had done it to the body, what's going to happen? When I turn the head, right, it wouldn't follow the head. It would be stuck on the body. So you got to choose your parent-child relationships. If anybody's ever worked with XML, boy, you gotta choose those parent-child relationships very carefully. Let's see how that looks.
That's funny.
So you'll notice that I can kind of, it's hard, let's all say. If I want to move this, you see it's weird. And it can go too far, right? So if I go into this thing, you can actually restrict how far this thing can go. So now it will not be able to open beyond a certain point. So we'll have it be able to go down to here. And now if I do this, I can't get it to, it's really hard to, it won't go past the beak. For some reason, it likes if I go up, it opens. I don't know why.
This is funny. I don't know why. Just the way that the joints in there, the pivot points all work. It looks. That's like
Open your mouth, man. It's really hard to open. There we go. I don't know why when you push up it wants to open. But anyways, so we can now we can hide all that because we're kind of done. So I go here and I just turn all that stuff off. And there you go. We have our owl.
nice. Okay, so if the owls out front of Mitchell Park Library are named Whimsy and Wise, what's this one named? Like
Whimsy. What's the other one? Aren't there 3 or 4?
yeah, well, you're right. There's like 5. But
Oh.
the title of the sculpture is Whimsy and Wise.
Oh, so now
maybe,
I need to come up with a name for this one?
Yeah. I don't know. Or anyone?
Bilbo?
Bilbo?
Bubo or whatever his name was?
It's got to be a W, though. It's got to be like...
By the way, we can make our owl
yeah.
shine like it's going to spit out some lightning.
Yeah.
But, you can play with so you can kind of make it less metal-y. You can add a little bit of roughness if you don't want it to be super shiny like that. But these actually do need to be really shiny. Yeah. What they don't have is they don't have anything that has a real super, like, reflective material.
So there's no... Will this... For the newbie in the room here, does this reflect the environment around it, or
Not
just
really.
the light sources a little?
Just the
or...
light sources. So if I
Okay.
go in and let me add a real light source. Not that. What am I doing? There we go.
This is not RTX mode. It's
So if I go in and I put
Dreams
like a
mode.
little environment here.
Okay.
So it does reflect the light. You can see the light moving around in there. And, if I change the sky color, let's see what happens. Let's make the sky like red. It does change the color, yeah. But what you don't see is you don't see the grass color reflected onto it. So.
Oh, we're getting some facts in chat here. Okay. If you bop the head of the secondary move against the back of the primary move, it will change the animation mode. So you're only moving the object you're touching, not the other shapes as well. I don't know what that means, but Ryan probably does.
So which is is it like this? Oh, I know what he's talking about.
Oh.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he's right. You can do that. And if I remember I do it all the time, actually. I think it's this. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Yes.
We
It
can.
took me, because sometimes I would I would hit
Oh,
stuff accidentally,
yeah.
and then like my puppets would stop moving,
Uh-huh.
and I was like, what the hell is happening? Did I break it? And I would have to restart it over
Yeah.
from scratch.
Yeah.
And then I finally found that. Yeah. Yeah, that is how you do it. So you just kind of do that.
So Andy in chat also mentioned you can change the sun size to make the
Yes.
shine larger.
Let's do that. So the sun size,
Oh, okay, here.
is that, I think it's this, right? Or that's the brightness. This is, yeah.
Ah.
Oh,
Hmm.
huh. That's interesting. You can also turn the shadows off. Sometimes you want your lights to not be creating shadows, but
Yeah.
that does have use cases. You can also turn the sun off, so you see the big bright thing. You can just turn that off, but it does retain the.
Yeah.
It's just that it disappears out of the sky. So then what I'll do sometimes is then I'll go in and I'll actually create a sun right in that spot. Just to create if you wanted to actually have a sun. We'll just pick a yellow. You can just put it up there and then make it shiny.
All right, it's almost time to wrap up here. I should probably post a link to our website so you can find our schedule. Actually, I'll post a link to this is where we're streaming from. This is the Reboot Room, newly reopened here in Mitchell Park. I think I'll be back next time. Oh, what, 2 weeks from now? The first Thursday of. Wait, am I getting my calendar mixed up here? We've been streaming the first and third Thursday every month. So what would that be? Oh, wow, okay. Next month starts on a Thursday. So that's interesting. September 1st. Any final thoughts, Ryan, before we. No?
Yeah, I don't even know who I'm talking to, but thank you guys for dropping by.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time.
That was fun.